Hey everybody, it's Tasha, and this is my recap of Arrow Season 5, Episode 6. So the episode starts off with Oliver and Diggle doing recon for a phone that belonged to Tobias Church, which is somehow still active even though he was found dead on the other side of town the week before. They end up at an abandoned warehouse where they receive a call from Prometheus saying, "So it begins." They return to the Arrow Cave where they decide not to bring the recruits in on what's going on until they have some more information. But at the same time, Prometheus starts going around town randomly killing innocent people. This ends up being a major problem for Thea, who's in the middle of trying to put together an art festival to increase tourism in the city. The situation is only made worse when Susan Williams, the reporter, catches wind of the killings because she names the killer, and it incites fear and anxiety throughout the citizens of Star City. The recruits are called in to stop the pandemonium that broke out courtesy of all the killings. Once that's handled, they go back to the Arrow Cave and they're angry that they weren't informed before that there was a Prometheus. So Oliver then has to explain why this person is hunting him, or better yet, using innocent people to spell out the names of people that he murdered in season 1. While Felicity focuses on figuring out who could be potentially the next victim, the group splits up. The recruits go off and meet up and discuss whether or not they want to continue working with Oliver, knowing that he was once basically a serial killer, while Oliver and Diggle have a conversation about how much Oliver has grown. Oliver questioning if he's had any real growth, considering that he's gone back to killing since Damien Dark and hasn't stopped since. The conversation is cut short when Felicity announces that she's compiled a list of potential victims. The recruits are called in and they do show up to help guard each person to protect them against Prometheus. It just so happens that the main recruit who's having an issue with Oliver is Evelyn, and that's who Prometheus attacks. During the fight between Artemis and Prometheus, she managed to injure him. This comes up later in the episode when Felicity figures out that the throwing stars he uses are made from scrap metal of arrows that Oliver used. All in all, this was another solid episode of Arrow. Was it really exciting? No. Was it my favorite episode so far? Definitely not. But what they did do was manage to propel the story forward. And they spent a decent amount of time focused on character development for 3 major characters, which was Evelyn, Oliver, and Felicity. For Felicity, her development was that she decided to learn from Oliver's mistakes and be honest in her new relationship, because she realized that a lot of the things that she had issues with Oliver for, she was starting to do in this relationship. And for his part, when she told Billy Malone the truth about what she did and who she worked with, he was really accepting of it. For Oliver, he actually saw that while he's very flawed, he has been making strides and becoming a better person. And he's still on a journey. He hasn't reached the destination yet, but he's less self-pitying because he knows that he's really putting in the work. And for Evelyn, we really haven't seen as much of her character. We got a full episode on Ragman. We knew Curtis from last season, and the last 2 episodes have been focused on Wild Dog. So for her, they needed to put a little bit more time on her backstory and connecting her to the rest of the team. So her having an issue with Oliver and him killing, and the fact that him not killing was what caused her to lose her parents, was an interesting way to connect her to the rest of the team and the rest of the storyline. Hands down, the most random moment of the episode was that closing scene with Quinn. It was meant to be a WTH moment, and that's exactly what it was. But once you take a minute to really think about it, you realize that the possibility of Quentin being Prometheus is seriously unlikely. It's not like he's alchemy and he has a split personality. He has the same backstory. Flashpoint didn't affect his storyline. So he would have no time to get archery lessons, to learn how to fight, to have that kind of understanding of weaponry, even if he is a police officer. All this scene ended up doing was really making me think that Felicity's new boyfriend, Billy Malone, is likely Prometheus. Being that he's a police officer, he has access to evidence, which would give him access to Oliver's old arrows that he could then use to turn the scrap metal into his throwing stars. I'm really hoping this show doesn't go this route because I just feel it would be too cliche having the new boyfriend be the bad guy. It's just too obvious. I would much prefer if Prometheus was somebody related to one of the victims of Oliver's List in season 1. If they had it be the son or the brother of one of the people that he killed when he first came back from the island. And then we got introduced to that person in the second half of the season, and then they developed that storyline. The last thing I should probably mention was that we were finally introduced to Konstantin Kovar, played by Dolph Lundgren, in the flashbacks for this episode. I'm really looking forward to seeing the interaction between these two. The flashbacks this season have been really good so far. So, what did you guys think of this episode? Are you liking the part that Dolph Lundgren is playing so far? Are you looking forward to finding out who Prometheus is? Do you think that there's a chance that it's Billy Malone or a chance that it's actually Quentin Lance? Or are you hoping that it's someone completely new? Comment down below.